Welcome to the Bending the Bracket podcast. Here are your hosts, Ben Madison and Lane Smith.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bending the Bracket. I am your host, Ben Madison, alongside my co-host, Lane Smith.
Hey.
It is Friday, finally. How you doing, sir?
Glad it's Friday. It's been a long week, and it's good to be here with you and talking more sports.
That's what we do.
It's all we do. I love it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Let's go with, let's talk about last night's game. Wasn't competitive, wasn't really the game that a lot of us had hoped for. The Rams take care of the Patriots 24-3, and this is the Patriots. They're all but eliminated from the playoffs now. I think they've got a 6% chance of getting in. It's not going to happen. Your thoughts on last night's game?
Well, it's just predicted all season. The Patriots are down. They're not a very good team. Maybe the worst team Belichick has had. And the Rams prove again that they are a top team, worthy of the praise that they get. And they looked really good last night. And this is the time to get hot right now.
It really is, and they're a good team. I think they're going to be able to play with the Saints as we've discussed before. They look good. They're able to run the ball now more. And it showed last night. They were able to really control the line of scrimmage in that game. Of course, the defensive line they have is sick. Aaron Donald is an absolute beast. And they did what they had to do. And for New England, just no offense. I mean, no players on offense, no playmakers. I know Cam is working with nothing, but man, he looks shot to me.
First of all, I can't believe you didn't call me out for what I said at the beginning about the Patriots. But hey. I was giving it to you. I gift wrapped it to you and gave it to you.
I was letting you get away with it. What do you want me to do? I was trying to be nice.
I have been
holiday season.
That's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have been high on the Patriots this year, higher than most. I am very high on Bill Belichick mostly. And I've defended them to a point because they don't have an offense. Like you said, they have nobody to work with. Cam is by himself. Even Edelman is out. So this has been a trying year. And this is really, what are they going to do in the draft? That's the question. And what are you going to do with Cam Newton? You had a lot of questions to answer in the offseason. I don't know. I mean, you don't usually use the words Patriots and rebuild in the same sentence, but they might not be able to avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, they're really in a rebuild now, whether they want to admit it or not. And I don't really put this loss on Belichick because if you don't have a quarterback, you have nothing. And they do not have a quarterback. The quarterback of the future is not on this roster now. You can say that these next 4 games or next 3 games may just be their chance to see if Cam can be the future or not. I don't think he can be. I think his best days are behind him. And you know, if you're that guy, if you're even a solid quarterback, you have to do more than he has been doing. I mean, it's just completely anemic. This is 2 weeks in a row. This is several weeks this season. He's just been awful. I mean, just awful.
Well, defenses are not scared of Cam Newton's arm because he has nobody to throw to. And so they're focusing in on Cam Newton himself, which is taking away the run game, which has made him successful in the past.
That's true, but I mean, they've still been able to run the ball, and so he's had his opportunities in the passing game. He's just so inconsistent. Sometimes he puts one right on the money, and you're like, man, he's back. And then the next time he throws it over his head, throws it into the ground. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's got a confidence issue. I don't know if if he has lingering injuries that he's not disclosing. But if I'm him or if I'm the Patriots, I don't see how you move forward with this and expect a different result next year. Like we've discussed, this team is 6-7 and they've won 6 games just because of their coach, the way he schemes and gets everything out of every player. But again, if you do not have good quarterback play, you cannot overcome that in 2020 in the NFL.
Well, that's true. And I still am going to get a pass to Cam Newton for this year. I just want to see what he comes out like next year. I want to see him with more around him before I make a judgment on, this is Cam and he's done. You know, I just want to see him work with more than what he's got to make that determination.
I mean, to me, I've made the determination. I think he's done. But I could be wrong. I mean, they don't have a lot to work with, but you got to give me something. I mean, you 69, 75, under 100 passing yards in the NFL in this day and age when all the rules are skewed toward the offense. It's just unacceptable. I don't care if you're throwing to a garbage truck driver. You've got to be better than this.
And he's been benched for 2 or 3 times this year.
Exactly. So I don't know what they do from here. They're going to have to bring a quarterback in from the outside because they're not going to get a high enough draft pick to get a franchise-changing quarterback. So they'll be fine. Like I said, just having Belichick is going to win you 6 to 7, maybe even 8 games a season. So they just need a competent quarterback and a couple of playmakers to really turn things around. But I don't know where they go from here.
Well, I don't either. I mean, they've got a lot to, like I said, they got a lot to work on, a lot of decisions to make coming up in the next few months. And we're going to see where this team is. And really, we're going to see what Belichick's made of as far as drafting. I mean, he's been able to kind of put it on autopilot here the last several years with Brady at quarterback because Brady could make anything around him work. And now he's going to really have to start putting some pieces together for this team to compete.
Yeah, he's done this for all he's done for this franchise, which is amazing, and it's a lot. He's really failed them in drafting top talented, specifically perimeter offensive players. They do well on the offensive line. They do very well through defense. But there's something about skill players on offense that he can't get right. I mean, they showed a stat last night that was mind-blowing. Since 2010, so we're talking 10 seasons now, the total number of touchdowns scored by wide receivers drafted by New England is 14. 14.
Wow.
I mean, some players get that in a season. And you're talking about 1.4 touchdowns per season from drafted wide receivers. No wonder your offense is anemic.
Right, exactly.
I mean, something's got to change. I don't know where you change it because Belichick has so much power in the franchise, but someone has to sit down with him and say, let me help you. Let me take control. Let me do some of this scouting before we make these picks because they've got to get some better offensive players.
Well, that's true. And I don't know, but Belichick, remembering the herd, he doesn't listen to a lot of people. So
no, he doesn't.
It's like him or the highway. So we'll see what happens. And I still believe in Belichick, and I think that he hears what's being said, and I hope that he'll make the right decisions. Because the NFL is better with the Patriots as a good team.
Oh, yeah. I want to talk briefly. This is a game that has no bearing on playoffs at all, but I want to talk briefly about the Cowboys. But I want to talk specifically about how quickly they've become irrelevant. Have you noticed that?
They are, yeah. I mean, very much so. And every week they've grown more irrelevant.
It is fascinating to me how quickly, and I never thought I would say this, but it's about Dak Prescott. Once he went down, he kept them relevant. He kept them in ball games. You can say what you want about him as far as being overpaid, that kind of thing, but he at least kept it interesting. Very much the way that when Romo would get hurt, they would just disappear years ago.
Right.
And they've been flexed off of Sunday Night Football for the first time in 14 years.
Wow.
Which that makes Jerry far more angry than losing.
That's unbelievable.
Because the only thing worse than losing is being irrelevant as a Dallas Cowboys owner.
Yep.
And you look at these terrible contracts they have. You look at the whole landscape of how the NFC East is quickly turning into, it's flipped up. It's flipped upside down. Now the Giants and Washington both have good young rosters, great coaches. Their payrolls aren't excessive like the Cowboys. So Dallas is very much in danger of being irrelevant for the next 5+ years.
I think so. But this might be enough to get Jerry to pull the trigger on McCarthy after the season.
Oh, I don't think so.
I would surprise me. I'm not saying he will, but when you start seeing things like this happen, this is what's more important to Jerry. The ratings and the TV and things like that, the things that make the Cowboys exciting. And
absolutely.
When those things start getting taken away, then he might look to make rash decisions.
One could only hope. As a fan who's all but given up on this franchise, it is I used to think that way. I used to think, well, maybe if this happens, then that could happen, and we could get this coach, and and I've given up on all that. I mean, he's going to stay with McCarthy. McCarthy's been far more of a disaster than I ever could have imagined. And look, I know he had injuries. I know he lost Dak. I know the offensive line is patchworked. I know the defense is learning a new scheme. But at the end of the day, they're showing no progress in the ability to get better. They're still giving up 300 yards on the ground in week 13. Yep. I mean, what gives? You look at these other teams, even teams that have losing records, and they're progressing. Not all of them, obviously, but the ones that have a promising coach, they're progressing. They're getting a little better each week. Obviously, you look at the leap that the Giants have had in the last 2 months. I'm not even asking for that. I'm just asking for improvement, and I've seen none. I've seen none this season. I don't see how McCarthy turns this around. I don't think there's any chance they fire him after one season. I hope you're right, because I think they need to tear this thing down to the studs, do whatever they have to do to get out from under these ridiculous contracts. But I don't think it's going to happen.
It may not. Like you said, nobody's going to be surprised. But, when Jerry looks in the NFC East and sees Jason Garrett and the Giants winning that division, that is he's going to do something in the offseason, because he is being embarrassed every week right now.
He really is. And there's no end in sight. Like I said, the future is very dull for this team. They have these, they're paying these exorbitant amounts of money to these average to slightly above average players. And until they can get some of that settled, I don't see what they do. I don't see how they fix this. I really don't.
I don't either. They're trapped in every which way you can be trapped.
Yes.
And, the Cowboys fans are the most unrealistic fan base in sports.
Oh yeah,
they are still living in 1995. Doesn't matter what this team does. Dak is a savior, and they were 1-3 with Dak before he went down.
Right, exactly.
It should have been 0-4, because the only reason they won a game was because Atlanta can't figure out how to field an onside kick.
Right.
So I don't see how Dak is a savior, or how Dak is going to get you back to relevance. But whatever you do what you do. But this team is a disaster, and
it really is.
They're going to stay a disaster for the reasons you listed. I do think they will move on from Zeke Elliott after the season. I don't know where he lands. He'll land somewhere, and the Cowboys most likely have to take on some of that contract.
Oh yeah. So you're saying they're going to cut him?
I don't think they'll cut him. I think they're going to trade him, but with part of the trade deal is going to be the Cowboys pay a certain amount of the contract, because nobody's going to take on that full contract.
No, it's a terrible deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even as bad as DeMarcus Lawrence making $25 million.
Gosh.
It's just unbelievable.
It really is.
Those two have got to go. They've got to go. There's 5 or 6 contracts on this team that are terrible, and then you're staring down the barrel of paying Dak Prescott upwards of $40 million. Are you kidding me?
Right.
It can't happen.
Your number one receiver takes half the season off. So
it's insane. Anyway, enough about them. I can go on all day. I always get on this.
The preseason is going to be fun, because we'll spend hours talking about
the Oh yeah, and the only reason I brought it up today is because every time we've talked about them until now, they've still been relevant.
Yep.
And now they're just, you don't hear anything about them this season at all.
The fans can't stand that.
The fans can't stand it, and they're 3-9. They could easily be 1-11. They almost lost the Giants game that Dak got hurt in, and they should have lost the Atlanta game. So,
and we should also, just for the sake of credibility, we should admit that we were dead wrong on Andy Dalton being able to do anything.
Oh,
with his team.
Absolutely. I can't begin to express how wrong I was on thinking that he could be 75-80% of Dak Prescott. No.
Yeah, I was the same way.
No.
I said,
there's one person in the organization that comes out smelling like roses with this season, and that's Dak Prescott.
Yep.
I mean, he does.
But I don't think he gets the big contract. I think he plays an option next year, and they'll base it on that. They'll see how he comes back from the injury. But I really don't believe he's ever going to be the same after this injury. Honestly,
I hope he is, for his sake.
I do too. I have nothing against him, but you see that injury and you see how he went down. I just don't see anybody comes back fully 100% for that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I mean, look at Wentz. He still isn't right.
Right. And the thing that's on Dak's side as far as maybe getting him a deal this offseason is that they're in salary cap hell. They really can't afford to plop down 37 on him without trying to, get him under a long-term deal and structure it in such a way where it's back end loaded to where they can save some money now. So I don't know what they're going to do, but either way, whether he signs with them, whether he's franchised and then traded, he's going to make a lot of money somewhere.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's move on. Enough of that depressing mess. Let's talk about a game there are so many intriguing games this week.
Yes,
for as lame as the last couple of weeks have been, this one is going to be great.
Yes.
And one that's very interesting to me is the Kansas City Chiefs going to Miami to face the Dolphins. I've been looking at it for a while. The line is Chiefs -7. Seems a little generous to me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they're in Miami. That line is very generous. I think the Dolphins definitely cover the 7. Don't think Kansas City is going to lose the game, though. I don't see that.
Yeah, it would be an upset for sure to see Miami win this game. It's going to be interesting to see that Miami defense and how they can handle that Chiefs offense. I mean, they have great corners. You're going to probably see Travis Kelce have a big game, which, by the way, he's only 5 receptions behind DK Metcalf for the league lead in receptions as a tight end.
That makes total sense. Yeah. All right.
As a tight end. And a tight end has never led the league in receptions throughout a full season. So he could be setting that record this year.
That's insane.
This is an interesting game. I'm with you. I think the Chiefs win it. I think it could be kind of an ugly game, like a 23-20 type game.
Right. Yeah, it could be. It'll be close. The one thing that gives me pause is 2 weeks ago, Miami got handled by Denver.
Right.
And that gives me some pause in this game. But Denver's a hard place to play with the atmosphere and everything.
Well, I think everybody has an off week. The Giants beat the Seahawks last week, and the Chiefs lost to the Raiders almost twice.
Right. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm not writing them off,
right.
But that's something I'm in the back of my head I keep thinking about.
Certainly. So that's going to be one to watch for sure. There's some really good early games, some intriguing games. Another one that's interesting is Tampa Bay hosting the Vikings. The Vikings, as we said last week, are now into the playoffs if the season ended today in that 7th seed spot. This is a tough game for them because Tampa's coming off a bye. And you would like to think that Tampa Bay may have figured some things out during this time. And I think they were really fortunate to have such a late bye this year.
Absolutely. They need to get healthy and get some things right to finish out the season. Conversely, Minnesota is in absolute must-win territory the rest of the season.
Right.
They have got to win every game.
Yeah, they do. And so they're They're a 6.5-point dog. Minnesota is in Tampa. I like the line. I think Tampa comes out firing on all cylinders. As we've discussed before, when Tampa Bay faces a pretty ferocious pass rush, they're cooked. And when they don't, they do the cooking. Minnesota doesn't really get after the quarterback. And so I think Tampa rolls them in this game. I like Tampa at least by 10 points.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I hate to do that to Minnesota because they played well lately, but like you said, I think Tampa coming off by maybe hopefully getting some things right on the offense. I think it's too much to handle.
If Minnesota were to win this game, it would really put Tampa in a tough spot.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would put them both at 7-6. That would actually put Tampa on the outside looking into the playoffs. And so this is a game that if Minnesota can pull this, I don't want to say massive upset, but they're definitely a dog in this one on the road.
Yes.
If they can pull this out, that puts them in a really good position because not only does it give them the tiebreaker, but it gives them that additional game up. So look for Minnesota to put it all on the line. But even with that, I think Tampa Bay comes out rolling. I would put my money on the fact that they have in the off week, in the bye week, they have moved the offense more to a Tom Brady friendly scheme.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see that. I think they're going to, they realize that while they had some good wins, they had some really ugly losses in the first 12. So I think the last month of the season is going to be good to them. They play Atlanta twice. They have a pretty soft last 4. So I look for them to finish 11-5.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and that's more than enough to get in the playoffs.
Absolutely, especially in the NFC.
Right.
So let's talk about another noon kickoff or 1 Eastern. The Giants hosting the Cardinals. The Cardinals they're in a straight tailspin. There's no two ways about it. Without that Hail Mary a few weeks ago against Buffalo, they would be on a 6-game losing streak.
Yep.
And they have fallen very, very far. Now they go into New York where they're going to face a red-hot Giants team. I love the Giants in this game. I see no reason why the Giants don't continue to roll.
I don't either. Arizona, like you said, is in the tailspin. I don't know what's going on there. I like to think it's just a young roster trying to develop, and they'll be better next year. I think this is who Arizona is, and they just got lucky early in the season, and now you're starting to see more of their flaws. But the Giants are cooking all cylinders. Jason Garrett's got the offense rolling. I think the Giants win this game. It could be close, but I think they'll win this game.
I think that Kyler won a couple of games for Arizona earlier in the season that they had no business winning. And so their record is better than they are. And I think they're going to be playing this Giants team that's absolutely rolling on all cylinders. And I think this Giants team has a chance to win out. And that would actually put them at 9-7.
They do have a chance to win. They get a good chance to win out. And what they're the story of the year. Next to Washington, I still think Washington is a great story, but
They are.
The Giants, nobody saw this coming from the Giants.
Well, no, I mean, they were written off as a 3-13 team possibly, and that's before Saquon got hurt.
Right.
I mean, they're doing all this without their star running back, and last week without their quarterback. It's unbelievable.
And I laughed when they hired Joe Judge.
Oh, of course. Nobody knew who he was.
Right. He's been phenomenal.
He's been great. He's been absolutely excellent. So we'll see how that goes. But I like the Giants to continue their domination and their role. If they've won 4 straight, I think they'll get to 5.
Yeah, I don't see any problem. They'll get to 5 for sure.
One more interesting game in the early window. And the only reason I say this is an interesting game is Tennessee has to bounce back. They're going to Jacksonville. And normally you'd say that's going to be a Tennessee route. But Jacksonville has been playing very hard.
Yep.
They've played some good teams to the wire. And so this could be a game that Tennessee might, I don't want to say they're going to slip and lose, but they need to be careful.
They, as you said, Jacksonville is playing well. Tennessee's coming off an embarrassing loss. And Tennessee's in a tough spot. They're in a tight AFC, and they need to win. They need every win they can get. So this is something to keep an eye on. This game really could be game of the week.
Yeah, it is. And I look for Jacksonville to play hard. I mean, they've got nothing to lose, obviously, except another game. They're still going to get a really high draft pick, even if they win this game. But I like Tennessee to win the game, but I think it's going to be closer than people anticipate. The line is 7.5. I don't know that I would take that if I'm putting money on this.
No, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't touch the line.
So that's definitely one to watch. Let's move into the later bracket of games on Sunday afternoon. This one definitely has playoff implications. It's the Colts at the Raiders. The Raiders, after looking really good against Kansas City, even in the loss, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, lost that one, followed it up with a horrific performance against Atlanta. They got the win last week against the Jets when they really didn't have any business getting that win. They're a 3-point dog at home against the Colts, and their season's on the line. I mean, they have to essentially win out at this point, or maybe not. But they're 7-5. The Colts are 8-4. Both teams really need this game for playoff positioning.
Yes, they do, and like I said, I mean, the Raiders, they've been off my playoff board for a while, but
right.
Indianapolis, they keep hanging in there, and they keep finding ways to win games. I don't think this team goes deep in the playoffs, but they're certainly capable of getting to the playoffs and maybe winning a game. Yeah,
and the Raiders aren't dead. I mean, the Raiders, this is an important game for the Raiders because depending on Tennessee, the Colts may be in a wild card spot as well. So this head-to-head will matter. Say these two teams both finish 10-6. This head-to-head will definitely matter. So this is a big deal. That being said, I don't trust the Raiders at all.
No.
They can come out and destroy the best teams, and they could come out and, basically lose to the Jets for all intents and purposes.
Right.
So I still have to go with the Colts in this game, even though Phillip Rivers is shaky at best sometimes. But I still think the Colts take care of business on the road.
Yeah, I do too. I think they got the more experienced roster. I think that they're playing for more. The Raiders just don't look inspired right now.
No, they don't. Which is so weird because they were on top of the world a few weeks ago. And
I know. And ever since that loss a couple weeks ago, they just don't look the same.
Not at all. One more to talk about in that afternoon slot is one that's possibly interesting. The Saints are going to Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts getting the start. It could be one of two things for me. It could either be a Saints domination because of such a young rookie quarterback playing his first start against the NFC's best team, or Philadelphia could surprise you because they don't really know what to prepare for. What are your thoughts on this game?
Eagles win.
Really?
Yeah. I thought the Saints would run away with it with Carson Wentz starting, but Hurts starting, as with most backup quarterbacks, and they come in a starting job, especially in the NFL for whatever reason, teams tend to rise up and play to a new level you hadn't seen them play yet. And the defense doesn't know what to prepare for, as you mentioned. This is a classic trap game for the New Orleans Saints. And they could be looking ahead to the Kansas City next week. So this is a big game for both teams, but I think Philly can win this game.
It wouldn't necessarily surprise me. It seems like most people are leaning the way you're leaning this week. A lot of people picking Philly for the upset. The Saints are favored by 7. I don't think the Saints cover the 7, but I like the Saints to win this game in the end. I think they could be a little shaky early, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Saints just go in there and roll them.
I want them to, because
on
I think
the same
Saints,
token.
Right. I think the Saints need that first round bye. So yes. I would like to see that, but I don't know. I got a bad feeling about this game.
I like the Saints in it, but I don't think I think it's going to be a little uglier game. I think it's going to be comparable to when the Saints went to Chicago earlier in the season, and it was just kind of an ugly game.
Yep.
Cold weather. You just nothing gets rolling. Of course, you got Taysom Hill too. You don't know. I look for the Saints to go in there and really run the ball hard, heavy run, and so that's going to lend itself to a lower scoring game as well.
And what is Taysom Hill going to do in cold weather in Philadelphia?
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's why I think they're going to run the ball heavily. And for Jalen, we have no idea what we're going to get.
None.
I mean, he could come out and throw for 350. He could come out and throw for 125 and 4 picks. The Saints defense is hot right now. That's why I do think they're going to get the win. So
if the Eagles win and Hurts has a big game, overreaction Monday is going to be on steroids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to be Eagles are going to win the East.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be Carson Wentz is cut. It's going to be a lot of stuff.
Right.
That's a little bit of an overreaction. So we'll see. That's a good one. There's so many of these games this week that are interesting, and you didn't think looking ahead at the schedule even a month ago that they would be, but they are. They definitely are. So let's move into the two big boys this week, which fortunately enough for us and everyone are the primetime games.
Yes.
Sunday night, Pittsburgh Steelers at Buffalo Bills. This is going to be a fantastic game. I don't think there's anyone that I've heard or talked to that has picked Pittsburgh to win this game. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say this for Monday, but we're on it. So I've been really, really high on the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. They've done a lot of really good things, and you look at them, and you look at some of these games, and you go, man, that looked really good. But you're getting late in the season, and you're starting to see some flaws, and they're starting to show some injuries on the defensive side of the ball where they've been so strong. That game against Washington was ugly. It was ugly. And Pittsburgh has not had a bye week since week 2. They will not have another bye week unless they somehow get the 1 seed. I don't see them getting a 1 seed. They could very well lose the rest of their games.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they're going to lose out.
I don't think they will, but I'm just saying they could.
They could, and they're kind of what I thought for a while. I mean, I thought they were a good team, but I think they're more of an 8-4 team masquerading as an 11-1 team.
Yeah, I think I overvalued their schedule. They really have not played a good schedule.
And they've won some games they should have lost, but again, good teams do that, I suppose. So I'm not going to take too much away from that, but their backs are against the wall because if they lose this game, they're going into the 2 seed because Kansas City beat Buffalo head to head, and would put those two teams. It would put those two teams with the same record. So I don't see Kansas City losing again. They may lose to New Orleans. I don't see it happening, but we'll see. But we're getting ahead of ourselves on this game here. I kind of am leaning toward Pittsburgh, which I know is really surprising to you. I just think that the whole world is now counting them out after one loss. I think speaking of overreaction, I think that's an overreaction. I know they have issues, they have injuries, and that's why I don't think they're anywhere near the best team in the league. But also the idea that Josh Allen is going to come out and have the same kind of performance 2 weeks in a row when he just dismantled the Niners Monday night, I don't see that happening either. So it's I don't know. I kind of almost like Pittsburgh in a 27-24 type game.
Yeah, I'm not counting Pittsburgh out. Pittsburgh can very well win this game. I'm more looking at long term with Pittsburgh, just the ramifications of not having a bye week. But Buffalo had a big win against the Niners. We have seen Josh Allen put together a string of really strong games.
True.
Now, it's been a little while since we've seen it, but we know he can do it. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Buffalo win this game. I don't think it's a sure shot either way. I think it's a close game. I think it's competitive for sure. Pittsburgh does not run the ball particularly well or consistently for that matter.
Not at all.
So that Buffalo defense is going to stifle that run game, and Pittsburgh's going to be forced to air it out. And we're going to see what Buffalo's secondary does with that.
Right. And Pittsburgh, if they have a prayer of winning in the playoffs, they're going to be in the playoffs, obviously. But if they're going to have a prayer of doing anything, they've got to learn to get that run game going again.
They've got to get that number 1 seed.
Yeah, you saw stories this week of Ben checking out of run plays and going into pass plays. There's a lot of stories floating around. I don't put too much into that because as long as Ben Roethlisberger has been their quarterback, there has been drama and there has been stories in the media. And none of that really matters. Just go out there and play football.
Right.
They go out there and beat Buffalo this week. All that's gone. All of that is gone. Now they go out and lose. It's going to compound. So you're going to see their season unravel very quickly should they lose this game.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where the last few games are going to be huge for them because they're going to have to really have their backs against the wall.
Absolutely. So in this one, the line is Buffalo -2. So it's an interesting line. It's probably right where it needs to be. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see either team win this game. Not putting money on this one, but I like Pittsburgh to come out of there with an ugly win.
Yeah. I don't know if I've got to pick. I would say Pitt because of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And if Buffalo wins this game, this is going to be that next step for this team that everyone knows is good. Everyone knows they're right there. But we're still waiting. You know, it's nice to beat the Niners, on Monday Night Football, but you do it to a Niners team that's underachieving. You beat Pittsburgh in prime time, everyone's going to know your name.
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking to see. Let's go into the Monday night game. And this is an interesting one for me.
Huge.
It's a rematch of the week 1 game between the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns, in which Baltimore just dismantled them. Baltimore in week 1 was a continuation of Baltimore 2019. Regular season, not playoffs, obviously.
Right.
This is not the same Baltimore team due to injuries, due to several different factors. Cleveland, on the other hand, is on a high note. They're rolling. They're 9-3. Big win last week against Tennessee. I have no feeling on this game. I can't get any gauge on it. I can't begin to pick it. Nothing would surprise me. Baltimore could come out and roll them for old time's sake. Cleveland could, I mean, I can't figure it out. You?
Yeah, I think I've been thinking this. Baltimore's going to win the game. I would almost bet on it for sure. They're not going to blow them out by any stretch of imagination. But this Cleveland team, as good as they are, they still underperform in big games. Baker Mayfield is still just a guy, and Baltimore still has a stout defense. So I like Baltimore in this game. I think it's much closer. I think Cleveland certainly makes it interesting. But I think Baltimore wins this game.
Yeah, and Baltimore has more on the line. I mean, they really need to win out to have a prayer of a playoff berth.
Right.
And this one against Cleveland would definitely help that, because should they finish with the same record, this would put them at the season sweep for that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much with you. I do like Baltimore narrowly, but I don't feel good about it. I mean, I don't feel good about it at all. So this is one I'm just going to watch and be entertained. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting game.
I feel really good about it. I would almost bet on it, just because I really don't think Cleveland has shown the consistency week in and week out that you need to win a game like this.
Yeah, until they beat one of the two big boys in their division, which is Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
Right.
Which they played them both, by the way,
yes.
in the last month of the season here. Should they beat one or both, really? I mean, if they beat both, then you know that the Browns have finally arrived.
Yeah.
So this is a big test for them. Even though Baltimore is not the same as they were last year or in week one, they need to beat them. So let's move into the news. What's going on in the sports world news-wise, sir?
Little bit to cover this week. In the NBA, James Harden officially holds out with Houston Rockets. Did not see that coming. I thought Harden would come in, say all the right things, and maybe they'd work on a trade, behind the scenes. But you don't see holdouts very often in the NBA.
No, you don't. But he's just done with this franchise, and he's acting a fool. I mean, yep. I don't know. I
don't like holdouts anyway. NFL, I hate it. I think it sets a bad precedent. These guys get paid more than enough money, and to go in and hold out and act like 6-year-olds, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it in certain situations, I can see a need for one. I don't see it here. It is what it is. They're not gonna trade him unless they get a really good deal, and no one has the capital to do that right now.
Well, I think the Sixers could do it. If they wanted to pull the trigger, the Sixers would have the best chance.
They'd have to send Ben Simmons. They'd have to send picks. And I don't think they're willing to do that, because they've brought in Doc Rivers, and they brought in D'Antoni to revitalize the offense, bring some shooters in Philly. So they want to see how it works with what they have.
I agree with you, but by the All-Star break, you can kind of see what you have and then make a trade.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Harden finishes this season a Rocket. I think he does play for them.
Yes.
And I think that eventually, he works his way out of town. But with 2 years left on his deal, he doesn't really have the power to predict where he's going.
Yeah, he has no leg to stand on.
He needs to be careful what he wishes for, because he could easily end up in, I don't know where, but he could end up in somewhere bad.
Yeah, and I always root for this. Like, when players act like this, I always root for the team to take a strong stance and don't do anything. And if he wants to sit out 2 years, go ahead and sit out for 2 years.
Go for it.
I just want to see it one time.
Yeah, it'll happen one time.
I mean, what Pittsburgh did with Le'Veon Bell.
That was the best. That was the best.
It. So, moving on, staying in the NBA, Paul George signs an extension with the Clippers worth $226 million over 5 years.
Just
crazy.
Why? He's not.
Yeah.
He's good.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, he is
good.
very good. Yeah.
He's good, but he's shown, he's not playoff P by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't think it's the right move. I mean, I think you're just going to get more of the same, especially with the Lakers and what they've done. They'll be a nice team. They'll be the second seed in the West, but I don't think they've shown any reason or any way they're going to compete with the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't see this. I think they've got a name, they've got a franchise player, and that's about it. They don't have much else. And we'll see what they do with the new coach and all that. But the Clippers have always been interesting for the last, 10 years.
At least, yeah,
So,
since Doc got there.
Right. So they're certainly good. They're certainly fun to watch, but we'll see. This deal doesn't excite me either way. So
no, not at all.
We'll see what happens. Going down and staying in Louisiana, Zion Williamson says there's no restrictions going into the season. That's really good to see, really good to hear.
It is.
The Pelicans, no one is talking about because they play in New Orleans. That roster is loaded.
Yeah,
that roster's really good.
They're going to have a nice season, and I think they're definitely going to be a playoff team.
Yes,
which for them would be, for them would be a nice season. And I'm excited to see what happens with Zion without restrictions, because you saw last year with these heavy restrictions. I mean, he would play 25 minutes and score 24 points.
He lit it up.
He was a point a minute guy nearly. And with his physical build, as big as he is, as powerful as he is, you kind of wonder how his body is going to hold up. So injuries are a concern, but still, let's see what he has. Take the training wheels off and let's go from there.
I agree. I can't wait to see it. So I think they're building something in New Orleans, and
I do too.
It's for the first time in my life, and it's fun to watch, and it's fun to see it come together. And this is year one, so we'll see what they do going forward. But the sky's the limit for this team.
Absolutely.
Also, the NBA announced this week a load management plan. Did you see that?
I did. I think it's phenomenal.
I do too. I think it makes everybody happy.
Yep.
The NBA, the star players basically will play when it's a national televised game, and they can take the day off when it's not.
Yep. And that's the way to do it. I mean, that's absolutely the way to do it. That people spend their hard-earned money, specifically fans that go to games, and that's not even an issue right now, but it will be eventually again.
Yeah.
Going to an NBA game is very expensive, and if you take your family of four, you drop $1,000 on tickets, and then you come to find out LeBron's not playing, or KD's not playing, or Steph's not playing. It's insane. They're why you go. The NBA is a completely star-driven league. No one wants to see bench players.
No, you're right. And Adam Silver continues to be the best in the league in this sport.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Always nails it. Always figures it out, and figures out a way to make both sides happy.
Absolutely, he's a really good commissioner.
He has been phenomenal. Really has. And when you even go back to the way he handled last season when they may have finished in the bubble, they just did a phenomenal job. He's aced it all across the board, and the decisions he made, the things he's done. It's been surprising. I don't know if anybody gave him enough credit when he first got the job, and he has lived up to that in more ways than one.
Yes, he has.
Going into Major League Baseball, kind of a slow time of season for Major League Baseball, but Dave Dombrowski to the Phillies as a general manager. He was a former general manager for the Red Sox and the Detroit Tigers. He's credited with the Red Sox 2018 World Series title. Phillies put together quite a nice roster there in Philly, and Dombrowski could be the guy to finally get him over the hump there.
We'll see. They've had some promise before, and
they've had World Series aspirations for years now. So.
Oh, yeah.
But now this roster with Bryce Harper there, they've got to do something, and maybe Dombrowski is a guy that can right the ship, so to speak, and kind of get them where they want to be.
We'll see. It's very, very possible.
See, baseball's slowly coming upon us. February pitchers and catchers report. So that'll be a fun time of year when it gets started. We always look forward to opening day. So it'll be fun to keep an eye on that.
Yep, and NBA opens in 11 days, which is hard to believe. There was really no.
It just ended. Yeah,
it just ended.
I still hate it's not me fans there, but it'd be good to see them back playing in actual home stadiums.
Yes.
So,
yes.
In the NCAA, Duke cancels their non-conference schedule amid COVID concerns. Coach K is not comfortable playing non-conference, but has no problem playing conference schedule.
Well, I saw this last night, and it's conveniently they've lost 2 non-conference games, so they cancel the rest of them. Give me a break. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but if anyone has the ability to do that, it's 41-year-old veteran coach. I mean, not 41-year-old coach, but he's been there 41 years at Duke.
Yeah.
He can do whatever the hell he wants.
No, he can. He may, and in that whole conference, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So I like Coach K to a point, but this is ridiculous. Don't see a point in this.
No,
it looks bad, and they deserve all the criticism they get. Because
sure.
Going off of that, staying in the NCAA, the SEC announces a huge 10-year deal with ESPN worth $300 million and effectively ending ties with CBS. I like this deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty good move. I still find it funny that these amounts of money are involved in college athletics when they have the audacity to call the players student athletes.
Yes.
I'm a student athlete in a multi-billion-dollar company. It's like, give me a break, pay the damn players, but we'll have a show on that one day.
Yes, well, they're fixing to, so that's coming in the next couple of years.
Good.
I love this deal, though. I think ESPN has always done a much better job covering the SEC and college as a whole than CBS, just because of what they have, the footprint ESPN has. So I really can't wait for this deal. I think it's going to make the SEC a lot better, a lot stronger, and looking forward to seeing what this does for both sides.
Yeah, it should be good. It's already the strongest conference top to bottom, and this will further strengthen that. So we'll see.
And the best news is no more Gary Danielson.
He's not that bad.
Oh gosh, I can't stand Gary Danielson. Come on, I like him better than Vern Lundquist.
What's wrong with Vern? Vern was great.
He was okay. I just
you can't sit on this show and tell me if you're going to tell me what I think, you're going to tell me which is they don't like my team.
No, actually I won't say that. I think that's ridiculous. Because I've heard them call every team and they're just that way.
And by the way, if you're one of these fans that thinks Joe Buck and Troy Aikman hate your team, you're an idiot. Please. If you think Romo hates your team, these guys don't give a damn who wins the ball game. They get their money either way. They call it as fair as they can. Grow up.
Right. And no Joe Buck criticism on this show ever.
Yeah, we don't allow that. So
I don't ever want to hear it.
Yeah.
The best in the world.
Yeah, he is. You can't appreciate that.
We'll have a show on that. We will do a show at some point on Joe Buck.
Sure.
Because he's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But I think we'll save that for October, and I think you know why.
I do. I do. And
so that'll be a fun show.
Yes, it does. And he also has a podcast called Daddy Issues. You should check it out. It's pretty good. It's good.
That's got to be good.
Him and Oliver Hudson. It's a great podcast.
It's got to be good.
It is. So anything else in the news, or is that wrapping it up?
That pretty much wraps it up for me. It's the news this week, but I'm sure there'll be more on Monday.
There always is. So let's do our hedge your bets, and this is where we pick 2 games. We lock in a pick and we put some cash on it. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. My first one is, let me pull it back up because I forgot the line off the top of my head here. I'm going to go bold this week. Well, compared to what everyone is saying, the New Orleans Saints are going to win at Philadelphia, and they're going to cover the line. They're going to win by more than 7.
Oh, no.
They're going to win by more than 7 in a convincing manner. Jalen Hurts is going to struggle against this defense that's clicking on all cylinders, and he's going to look like a rookie quarterback. I like the Saints in a 27-10 game. My second. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You're good.
Why is that far-fetched? The Saints have only won 9 straight games.
No, I know that. I don't know. I think if Wentz was there, absolutely. This is a no-brainer. But
to me, it's the other way around.
Hurts makes it interesting.
To me, it's the other way around. I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts was drafted too high, and I just
no question.
I don't know. We'll see with that. But I could be wrong, obviously. The other lock I have is the New York Giants over the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to win the game outright. The line is Arizona -2.5, which baffles me. The Giants win this game at least by 7 points. I like the Giants to win in, a 20-10 type game. Pretty low scoring. I think they really stifle. Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals just can't get anything going.
Well, I can't argue with that.
So yeah, those are my two picks. We'll see how I do. I definitely, I'm still waiting on my credit for nailing the Washington over Pittsburgh game.
No, you did. You
told you that was
called
going to
it.
happen.
You did.
You didn't listen to me.
I didn't talk about Washington near enough today as I wanted to. I really wanted to show them some love and talk about them, but I can do that on Monday.
You can do that on Monday.
I thought about picking. We didn't cover the game of the week, which obviously is going to be the Jets in Seattle.
Are you kidding?
I mean, I really was going to go on a limb here and say Seattle is going to win the game and cover.
Boy, you're bold.
I know. I really came
They're
close.
not going to cover that line. I don't think. It's a ridiculous line. Think they'll cover. 14 points, isn't it?
I know. I think they'll cover by more than that. I think the Jets are so bad. So it was tough this week on the hedge your bets. I really struggled with the games I wanted to lock in. And I'm still not completely I'm comfortable with one. I'm completely confident in one, and that is Baltimore over Cleveland. I think Baltimore, like I said, wins this game. It will be close, but yeah, I think I like Baltimore to win this game, and it's close. I'm going to say 27-24.
Gotcha.
I'm locking it in. So I like the Giants over Arizona. I love the Giants lately. I didn't really pay attention really up until the last 3 weeks. And they really put together something great that we've talked about. And I'm going to go with the Giants to win against Arizona. It could be a rout, but I think it'll be close. I would pick the Giants it'd be an ugly win, but I think they could win 24-20, 24-21, something like that.
Gotcha. So we're going to both go with the Giants this week on one of our picks. Yes. And then split off on the others. So it'll be interesting to see who's right and who's wrong.
Yes, we'll definitely let each other have it on Monday. So
for sure. What else would we do?
Exactly.
Cool, man. Anything else for you today?
That is it. It's gonna be a great weekend. First exciting weekend in the NFL we've had in a while. So we're looking forward. to that.
It is. It is. It's been a few weeks since we've had a plethora of matchups such as these. So hopefully they don't disappoint. I don't think they will. I think it'll be a great day.
Wait till next week when we get to cover New Orleans and Kansas City.
That is the big one.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun. Drew Brees should be back.
Yep.
They smartly held him out this week, one more week for precautionary reasons. So I think he'll be back ready to go, and I can't wait for that one.
I can't either.
Well, you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with you Monday, and we'll wrap up all these games. Take care. And that's going to do it for us for this episode of Bending the Bracket. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to follow our latest content. You can also find us on Facebook or Twitter @Bending Sports. Have a great day.